Right, so the next thing that's changed in this update is the Electroshocker's damage type has been changed from, well, that's the interesting thing. So you may not know this, but I certainly didn't actually. But the game actually has multiple types of damage types in the game. So most of you know the difference between, say, single, splash, and the collision damage. For example, the collision damage with the units, the explosion damage with, say, something like the Rocketeer, and the single damage with, say, the Scout. However, there's another type. There's the energy type, say, with the Electroshocker. However, the Electroshocker didn't actually have the energy. Now, in the case for, say, the Trapper, for example, its default collision, or sorry, the damage type for it used to be like whatever the default was, but it was changed to collision. However, for the Electroshocker, so they fixed it so the Electroshocker deals the energy damage type. I mean, there's really no difference because the statistics is linked, so like the lead is not really linked to the energy type, but it does show as purple on the damage indicator. And like I said, I should probably go over a video on all the damage indicator colors instead of actually going over which damage indicators they've actually fixed, because we might as well just do that, you know? Apparently the Electroshocker's energy damage type was broken since the 16th of December, so that's, I assume, when the energy damage type was broken and changed color of its damage type. Yeah, again, not like the lead detection for some reason isn't attached to the energy energy thing, so statistically it has no difference compared to like the default. You just have to, I don't know, it looks different, I guess. Bearing in mind that I believe the Pyromancer is also technically considered like energy. Next, the developers mentioned that the Beach Minigunner arms have been fixed. However, that's not the case. Well, actually, it wasn't. I don't think it was the arms that was broken. I think it was the torso that was broken instead of the arms. You can still see there's a visor glitch, but I think there's a glitch with like translucent items, anyways. But as you can see, it's workable, I guess. Yeah, it works. It works. Oh wait, I just realized what they meant by the arms thing. So the arms for the Beach Minigunner, it's actually behind the panel, the handle for the minigun. So actually, the minigun is actually floating in midair. So what they've done is they fixed the level 4 arms so that it's actually holding the handle correctly. But for levels 0 to 3, the animation is still bugged. So yeah, technically they did fix it, but only the level 4 animation, not the level 0 to 3. Additionally, they fixed the Cryptid Freezer skin. So at the last level for the Cryptid Freezer, oh, that's not the Cryptid Freezer. So at the last level, there was an issue with the Cryptid Freezer where it had like a constantly firing muzzle flash at the last level. However, this was fixed, so it no longer has this at the last level, which is pretty cool. Next, a fix that they've made is to the Accelerator skin. Well, the Accelerator plushie skin. So initially, with the Accelerator plushie skin, this was one of the few skins that had the plushie thing, the plushie texture or whatever, or plushie skin series, that didn't have the low FPS, the 12 FPS running rate. However, they've now fixed it so that it now has this. I assumed back in the day that it didn't have the low FPS thing because it was a fast fire rate tower, but then I realized, oh wait, the minigunner, that has a fast fire rate, but that also has the slow FPS thing. So I don't know why that's the case, but apparently it's just the idle animations. The firing animations, they're perfectly normal. So yeah, this does not affect the plushie Accelerator statistics in any way whatsoever. It's just the idle animations. Next is a change to the Trapper. So here, the Trapper's actually been buffed slightly. So the landmine range at level 2 for the Trapper has been increased from 8 to 9. At level 3, it's been increased to 10. And at level 4, the bear trap range has been increased to 10. This is because the developers have decided, right, we're not going to make things complicated. The Trapper has the same range for all traps. We're not going to make it complicated anymore. Which, honestly, is, to be fair, since the spike traps are, like, honestly, as useful as, say, the landmines and the bear traps now, given that they've been modified so that it's more like a spike weed, as some people have said, compared to the spike factory. So, yeah, I think that's pretty cool. So, yeah, inadvertent, well, I wouldn't say inadvertent buff to the Trapper. It's just a buff to the Trapper slightly. Like, one range isn't going to do much for the Trapper, but it's like a 10% buff at the level 4 bear trap range. Next, the developers mentioned they added spawn type limits to Necromancer's summons. So I guess that is the weightings that Nim mentioned that's been added for the Necromancer. So I think that's just that. They also say updated Necromancer's max level damage to scale with the number of targets. So that's with the thing. So if there's one enemy, it will deal all of its damage to that enemy. But then if there's 3 enemies, it will split it up. So yeah, fixes made to burst towers more consistent with triggering the fireworks buff. What? So does that mean that burst towers previously didn't have a chance, or had a much lower chance of triggering the fireworks buff? Oh yeah, that makes sense, because the burst towers, technically speaking, they have a lower fire rate. So technically speaking, they have a lower chance of triggering the fire rate. But because their burst, technically speaking, is their fire rate, and the gap between the cooldown isn't actually their fire rate, it means they aren't consistent in actually triggering the fireworks buff. So yeah, a buff. Technically, they've also fixed where you can be soft locked by doing the New Year's quest again. I assume that means anyone who has the New Year quest triggered or done again when you have the firework technician, you can no longer do it, or it's been wiped from your quests. So I mean, I don't know why you did it in the first place, but fair enough. They fixed brawler stacking. I have no idea. You could stack the brawler. I mean, that's fair. They've fixed the dialogue setting. Yes, I actually noticed this. So in tutorial mode, you can actually disable the commander now. And interestingly, they've also disabled the molten commander now. So if you don't want to hear the commander, you can actually disable it now, which is cool. So it's not just hardcore mode where you can disable the commander, which is pretty cool. And the final thing mentioned here is the Necromancer's category has been moved to hardcore. The one thing they haven't mentioned is the fact that the Necromancer's gems has been increased. Its cost has been increased from 1,800 to 2,250. Yeah, so if you didn't buy it before this update, yeah, you're gonna have to grind out 450 more gems. So yeah, unfortunate for you. They also changed the description of the Necromancer, I think. So instead, collected souls generate gravestones that can be used to resurrect the dead, instead of souls get used to summon gravestones. Something I should also mention is that the explosive arrows that the archer gets, the splash damage is actually stacked upon the damage that the archer actually does. So the DPS for the archer is actually higher than what I thought it was. So actually, the cost efficiency of the explosive arrow is much higher, much higher than the flame arrow. But bearing in mind that the flame arrow can hit up to 6 enemies, while the explosive arrow can only hit 1 enemy, but it's explosive. So yeah, apologies for that. But the shock arrow, I don't know why anyone would ever use that. I can't lie. Now, I did mention this in the actual update for the archer, but they've changed most of the names for the archer. So like in the video, I mentioned that level 5 has been changed from professional archers to the shot of the century. But I believe faster reloading has been changed to eagle eye. The dead shot has been remained the same, while ammo mods has changed to flame tipped arrows. Well, I think mechanical bow has remained the same. And one final thing that I forgot to mention is that the freezer, yeah, that's I forgot to mention that the cooldown for the frost grenade has been changed from 30 seconds to 15 seconds. So yeah, you can spam it, but it still has a max hits of 5 enemies, which I don't think should be there, but you know, fair enough.